The surah, it means the prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the messengers that He subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent. It is the Jama is the plural of Nabi. Nabi is a prophet, Anbya is Jama is plural. And this surah was revealed in Makkah. It's a Meccan surah. And we can tell just by the content that it's a Meccan surah because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He essentially divides the surah between two major topics. The first of these topics is establishing Tawheed, is establishing the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he really talks about His greatness and His magnificence by talking about the universe, the creation all around us, talking about the ayat, the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then the remainder of the surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the previous prophets. So this is, it's related to the previous surah which we've already done, Surah Taha, which we just finished recently. And in that surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala really details the life of Musa alayhi salam. So He talks about Musa alayhi salam's life in detail, and then He shortly makes mention of Adam alayhi salam as well. However, Musa alayhi salam's life is told in great detail. So in this surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, yes, Musa was a significant prophet and all of these things occurred with him, and he had to deal with his people and all of these tests and trials, but he wasn't the only one. There were so many other prophets like him as well who also went through their respective trials and tribulations and difficulties with their people, or with, sometimes it was their nation, sometimes it was outsiders attacking, whatever it might be, as in the case of some other prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So He subhanahu wa ta'ala makes mention of quite a few prophets in the story, and actually have a list. In this surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes mention of Ibrahim alayhi salam, Dawood alayhi salam, Sulaiman alayhi salam, Zakaria alayhi salam, Yahya alayhi salam, Ayyub alayhi salam, Nuh alayhi salam, Ismail, Idris, Dhul-Kifl, Ishaq, Yaqub, Lut, and Isa alayhi salam. So that is quite a few prophets, right? So the name is quite fitting that the surah should be named after all of the prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Anbya, all of the prophets. Now, one of the primary reasons why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the stories of these prophets was because this was, like I mentioned earlier, that, the Meccan surahs, essentially, they rotate around three pivots, okay, three pivots. So the first is Tawheed, the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second is Risala. So the Arabs, they believed in a lot of gods. They believed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but they believed and they ascribed partners to Him as well. So the Meccan surahs really argued against any issues, anything related to polytheism whatsoever. It really bashed, this notion of ascribing partners to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what all of the Meccan surahs do. In some way or shape, you can find it. If you just look hard enough, you'll definitely see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is attacking polytheism in all of the Meccan surahs. In the same way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is affirming the Risala of the Prophet ﷺ. So He's the message that the Prophet ﷺ was given, the prophethood of Muhammad ﷺ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also is doing ithbat of that, affirming that. And oftentimes He does it by way of the Quran, because the Arabs, they had several arguments against the Prophet ﷺ, why they would attack him. They even some of them went so far as to say, okay, let's say that the Quran is revealed, no problem. But why would it be revealed upon you? You of all people. Why doesn't Allah send angels down? Why doesn't Allah send it down in a book, jumlatan wahida, in a single form, and it just descends down on the Kaaba or something, and we can read it from there? Why does He have to send it to you of all people? So for that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that don't worry, to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and of course, to everyone else as well, that He's not the first person that we've given the message to. We've given it to dozens, and dozens, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala specifically mentions dozens. However, it's obviously been given to over 100,000 other prophets as well. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent them to various nations and civilizations and cultures throughout time. And then the third, I said the three pivots. The third pivot is, of course, the concept of resurrection, which the Meccans had a big issue with. They had a big issue with, and that's because it's ironic because they put so much emphasis on their forefathers who came prior and earlier. So they love them so much and they talk so highly of them and they're very boastful about them. But then when you tell them that, hey, actually, they're living in an afterlife and you can join them in the afterlife, or you'll be brought back in the afterlife with them, then all of a sudden that they get very hesitant, because the upside of that is, well, I get to see my, generations previous of all of my forefathers and stuff, no problem. That's the upside. But then the downside is that, well, I get to be held accountable for living a life of, vice and evil and corruption for the past 50, 60 years. So clearly they don't want to they don't really want to accept the notion of an afterlife or the notion of resurrection. So one event that happened during the time of the Prophet ﷺ in Mecca is that Nabi ﷺ once the Quraysh actually came to him, and they would often make challenges to the Prophet ﷺ. One of them was the splitting of the moon. They demanded from the Prophet ﷺ, if you're a prophet, why don't you split the moon? So then Nabi ﷺ said, if I do that, will you believe? And they said, oh yeah, definitely, we'll believe. And so Nabi ﷺ, that's exactly what they did. They made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then he pointed at the moon, and it split asunder, it split apart. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions this in the Quran as well. In Surah Qamar, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about this. But then they say, no, this is sihrun mustamir. This is a mustamir. Istamarra means something that continues. So they said, this is a long-lasting sihr. Because this event went on from Asr until Maghrib, basically for quite a duration, an hour and a half, 2 hours essentially, depending which view you take. So it went on for a while, and they said, this is not just, it's not like a little card trick. The little trick or the magic sleight of hand happens right away. They said, no, this is something that's continuously happening to us. We are being bewitched, because no matter where they looked or where they went, it was still evident in front of them. So they demanded another sign from the Prophet ﷺ. They said that, why don't you, they pointed at the mountain of Safa. So today, if you go for Hajj or Umrah, you go to the Haramain Sharifain, you'll see Safa and Marwa. So they pointed at Safa, and they said, if you can turn this mountain into gold, make the entire mountain into gold, we will believe, we will follow you. So then, as a result, Jibreel alayhi salam came to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he said that, oh Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we are, if you wish, we can do that. If you want, we will do that for your people. We will turn that entire mountain into gold for them, which is their claim. However, the test is that when it becomes gold and they see it happen right in front of them, this command, this demand of theirs is fulfilled, then they have to believe. If they don't believe, then the punishment is coming without hesitation. That's it, right? It's like a split decision kind of thing. They see the miracle in front of them. Either they believe right away. If they don't, we'll destroy them. That's it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave a similar statement to Isa alayhi salam and his followers, al-Hawariyun. So the Hawariyun, who are the companions of Isa alayhi salam. So we have the Sahaba, who are the companions of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then the companions of Isa alayhi salam were the Hawariyun. So the Hawariyun, they came to Isa alayhi salam, some of them, and they said that, can you send, this is in Surah Ma'idah at the end of it. So they asked him that, ask Allah to send us down essentially a feast, a tablecloth from Jannah. And they said, we want to eat from that. And so, Isa alayhi salam, he said, how can we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for such a thing? So then he still, he said, oh Allah, this is what they are requesting. And so, Allahumma anzil alayna ma'idatan min as-sama. So then he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to send that down. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made, a promise to Isa alayhi salam. He said that I will send this down definitely. But if any of them ever turns back from their faith after I do this for them, then I will give them a punishment like none other. Because they wanted something like, this is something that people always ask for. They say, God, give me a sign. God, give me a sign. So these people are asking for the most explicit sign right in front of them. And they're saying, this is the exact sign we want. So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I will do that for you, no problem. But if you hesitate and you fall out of belief, if you, for some reason you think that, that was a fluke, or it was a coincidence, or it was, I don't know, I'm seeing things, I'm hallucinating, whatever, you make up any excuse possible, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that punishment will come down upon you right away in the blink of an eye, and that's it. So that it's a risk that you want to take. It's a gamble, and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam understood this. So when Jibreel alayhi salam said that we will punish your people if they don't accept, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam knew right away, and he said that, no, I know how my people are. Like, these people are extremely stubborn, and they are not willing to, I've shown them miracles. They've known me, and they know how I am and who I am, and they still reject me. I know how these people are. They're very, knuckle-headed people. They're very thick-skinned, and they're very, very, just stubborn and stuck to their ways. I don't think they're just because they see this happen in front of them, they're not gonna, accept. So Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for their sake, he says that no, don't do this. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he decides that, no, I would like them, my people, I will be patient for the adha that they give me, the annoyance, the abuse that these people are inflicting upon me. No, and rather than, taking the risk and letting them perhaps be destroyed, then, I would prefer that I will continue to keep giving them da'wah, and then inshallah we'll see what happens. So that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, essentially rejected that offer. And then they, of course, they mark the Prophet ﷺ. They continue to harass the Prophet ﷺ. As a result, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals some verses of the surah as well. So let's look at actually the beginning of the surah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the very first verse, He says, اقترب للناس حسابهم وهم في غفلة معرضون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that اقترب being something that has already come near. Okay, something that, qurb is nearness. So the for the people, their accounting has already come near. Hisab is accounting. Okay, so it's when basically it's like an audit, right? You filed your taxes and everything. Now we are going to check to see if the numbers are legit. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says it's already come near. Not, that it is coming near. Not yaqtaribu. It is coming near right now. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says iqtarab. It's already come very close to you. You just can't see it, but it's already right in front of you. وَهُمْ فِي غَفْلَةٍ. Those people, they are negligent. They are heedless. Right? They're completely oblivious to the fact that their accounting is right here. That the time is about to run out, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to take them to task. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says they are mu'ridun. They're turning away. They're ignoring whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has brought in terms of the Prophet, in terms of all of these signs. ما يأتيهم من ذكر من ربهم محدث إلا استمعوه وهم يلعبون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then he criticizes these people. And unfortunately, this is a very, the condition of the people of Makkah is very rampant today in our society. To be perfectly honest, this is, a lot of Muslims have this very, very similar mentalities. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that مَا يَأْتِهِم مِّن ذِكْرٍ مِّن رَبِّهِم مُحْدَثٍ. That He says that, not a reminder from their Lord does not come to them, like a new reminder from their Lord does not come to them, except they listen to it playfully, right? They make a joke out of it. That's it. To them, it's not serious. And honestly, think about it. How does that apply to you and I? How many Ramadans have gone by? We're in the middle of Ramadan right now. How many Jumu'ahs have we heard? How many Laylatul Qadrs have passed us by? How many Eids? We've heard the Eid Jumu'ah and Eid Khutbah, and we've heard talk after talk after talk, and family night programs and youth halaqas and this and that and everything else. And it's just become a means of entertainment for us. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَهُمْ يَلْعَبُونَ. They're playing. Right? To them, it's just playful. The Prophet ﷺ is telling them that, hey, there's a very severe punishment for the person who mistreats an orphan. And they laugh it off. They brush it off. In the same way, just like we say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has in store for a person who does ghiba, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has punishment in store for them. A person who eats interest, Allah has severe punishment in store for them. And we just think that, but it's different for me. It's no. My situation is different. And so we just, we ignore it. We are mu'ridun. We kind of turn away from it. We turn away from it because we don't want to hear the remembrance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala coming. And the remembrance today, for them, it was a new revelation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sending new verses down upon them. For you and I, it's, the same talks are given time and time and time again. Right? We're hearing the same stuff, repetition. And we just get bored of it, unfortunately. We think, okay, whatever, I've heard this talk. Well, I already know everything about Isa alayhi salam, so I don't need to attend this talk. Oh, Jumu'ah khutbah, this guy's giving it. Yeah, man, I already know he always brings the same material. Let's find another speaker. So that's how we have come to accept, the message. Then this is the message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, honestly. Because what are these people saying? These people, hopefully, are speakers and in our talks and things like that. It's not something novel. It's not something unique that the person is coming with. The person is repeating, things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to the Prophet 1500 years ago. That's it. And we've been hearing that message time and time and time again for year after year after year after year of our lives. And, it doesn't matter whether we are, we're living in India or Pakistan, and then we move here, and then we're living in America, we live in California, we live in Canada, UK, wherever. The speakers are talking about the same thing. I was in UK just a few months ago, and I was attending Jumu'ah there, and the Imam is there, and he's saying the exact same things that I would say or that any other person would say in our position. He says the same stuff. It's nothing unique. It's nothing new. The important thing is actually acting upon it. Is actually taking heed of it, and actually, our hearts have to be actually receptive to what that person is saying. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala criticizes the hearts of these people. He says, لَاهِيَةً قُلُوبُهُمْ لَاهِيَةً قُلُوبُهُمْ. That these people, their hearts are frivolous, like they're not serious. They're absolutely not serious whatsoever. And unfortunately, that we've kind of created a culture of just play, of just having fun and enjoyment. It's not all about just complete enjoyment, right? Life is not just purely dedicated to enjoy. It should not be purely dedicated to enjoyment. People might, write long, these long books, 100 things to do before you die, and things like that. These things should be on your bucket list, and these things require, tens of thousands of dollars, and destroying the environment, and getting away from friends and family, and going off on some adventure somewhere, and this will make you feel like you've lived a fulfilling life. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. These experiences, what will they do at the end of the day? Just because, well, I can't die without experiencing these things. So a person, their essence just becomes, experiences. That's just, screenshots in their mind. Oh, I was in this place, and I went here, and I went there, and I went there. Okay, so what? What did that do for you? Did that postpone anything, any reality? Did that postpone the hisab that is coming for you? Did that postpone the reality of death? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, you should become a little bit more serious. You should become a little bit more serious. So when a person, and that's, I don't want to discourage anyone from going on vacation or something. So definitely we should enjoy the resources and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made halal for us and permissible for us. Absolutely. But we should not let our hearts become ghafil. We should not let our hearts become heedless. Because who knows? And honestly, this whole situation, this coronavirus situation that we're in, it should be a huge wake-up call for us, honestly. Because now we are afraid to go anywhere outside, because even we're afraid to interact with our friends. We don't. Alhamdulillah, I've had some friends inviting me for iftar and things like that. They joke with me. They say, "Oh no, we'll sit 6 feet apart and stuff when we eat and everything." But everyone is afraid. We're afraid to even meet our own friends. So right now we're not ghafil. Right now we are not ghafil. Right now we are very, very attentive, and we're very focused on our physical safety. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, absolutely, you should definitely be, focused on your physical safety in the same way you and I should be focused on our spiritual safety. We are focused about our life in this world, as we should be. We want to prolong our life. We want to live a healthy, good, long life in this life. Absolutely, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us a body, and He's made an amana for us, so we should definitely take care of it, 100%. However, don't we want something similar for the hereafter? Don't we want to live a nice, enjoyable, long life in the hereafter? And we do. I think that's kind of a fact. I think everyone, if you tell them that, hey, there's, the afterlife is a reality, if you tell them that, and then you say, let's assume the afterlife is a reality, and the person says yes, and you tell them, okay, do you want to, live a comfortable, enjoy your afterlife and enjoy your eternity? The person, I think, will say that, yeah, that's an existence that I would like to enjoy and make the most of. And we say, okay, so in the same way that you are attentive in this life, where you and I, we still do the things that we need to do, and we still even do the things that we want to do. For the most part, we still do the things that we want to do, right? But we do it with some caution. We are still attentive. We are wary. In the same way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says you should go about the same way, protecting your spiritual health as well, your iman as well. It should be the same thing. So your soul, just like you're protecting your physical body, your soul should also be protected in a similar fashion, right? Your soul should also be protected from falling into a moment of heedlessness, whereby you might contract something, and we're talking about spiritual illnesses and spiritual maladies. I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the claims that the Arabs would make against the Prophet ﷺ, the Arabs of Makkah, the pagans especially, would make against Nabi ﷺ. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually, He actually records the speech that these people would say. He actually records it in the 5th verse of the surah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, بَلْ قَالُوا أَضْغَاثُ أَحْلَامٍ بَلْ افْتَرَاهُ بَلْ هُوَ شَاعِرٌ فَلْيَأْتِنَا بِآيَةٍ كَمَا أُرْسِلَ الْأَوَّلُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He brings just 3 of the things that they claim against the Prophet ﷺ. Just 3, even though there are in other surahs, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, records other claims that they make against Nabi ﷺ. So these 3 claims they make, it's evident, in other surahs there's several more. So there's like 5, 6 different claims they make against Nabi ﷺ. So they don't even have a consensus of let's agree on something to accuse him of. No, they're just panicking. They're all in complete panic. Nabi ﷺ's message is one. That's it. It says, Ya ayyuhan nas qulu la ilaha illallah tuflihu. Nabi ﷺ used to go to them and say la ilaha illallah, say that there is no God but Allah, and you'll win. You'll be victorious in this life and in the hereafter. That was his only message. That's the only thing he said. He never wavered. These people, they constantly kept changing up, the claims and accusations that they would make. They were not on the same page. So some of them said, بَلْ قَالُوا أَضْغَاثُ أَحْلَامٍ. Some of them said that, these are dreams that he's having. He's having some visions, and he's, he's mixing up reality with his sleep, and he doesn't know what he's thinking, he doesn't know what he's saying, he's confused. And then others say, بَلْ افْتَرَاهُ. Some of them say, no, actually he's lying, he's just making this up. He's made up all of these claims, and he's a liar. Okay, he's a liar. That's what they're saying. And some of them said, "Bal huwa sha'irun." Some of them said, "No, he's actually a poet." Yeah, that's what it is. This is poetry. This is what he's is coming up with. This is poetry. Even though they know that this is not poetry, because the Arabs at that time, especially, were known for their amazing poetry, and the poets, definitely distanced themselves from the Prophet ﷺ. And so that's actually something I wanted to talk a little bit about. That how can we be sure that the Prophet ﷺ was not a poet? So poetry then and even today, it's a skill. It's an art. Just random people cannot be poets. Honestly, if that was the case that anyone can be a poet, then people would be self-publishing and everyone would consider themselves to be the next Shakespeare, right? We would, but that's not the case. Why is it that there's just very few people who are, we know their names and say, oh, he was a poet, she was a poetess? Why is it that we only know a few people with those names? Because this is a skill, it's a talent, it's something that you learn, and some people have a natural knack for it. But there are actually there are rules that you have to follow, and a person spends years practicing their art and refining that art. And then there's they have edits and drafts and rough drafts and final editions, and then they print it and this and that. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that was never the case. That was never the case. Number one, he never had a teacher. He never had anyone teaching him poetry. If you notice in the Quran, there are definitely surahs that have sajah, that have rhyme scheme. And then there are others which are like, one ayah is like half a page or one page, and you're thinking, where is the poetry in that, right? When Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is talking about where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give him a revelation, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam will read the wahi upon the people. It will be an entire ayah on inheritance law, or on divorce, or on jihad or something. So then what? Where is the poetry in that? And then Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam never had like rough drafts. Number one, he can't read or write anyways. And he didn't have rough drafts where he rehearsed it with somebody and then he said, okay, let's fix this mistake and that mistake, and then he went and did it. If that was the case, then there would be so many other people who could come forward and basically give up the scheme and say, oh, actually he's making it up. No one came forward and said, I taught him. No one came forward and said, oh, we're in cahoots, we're making up stuff. Nobody. There was no one there who supported this, the claim that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was a sha'ir. And the people who are sha'ir and who are shu'ara, who are poets, this was something that, the Arabs, they would actually do. They had a lot of fakhr in this. They used to take a lot of pride when a poet was essentially, it rose up in their ranks, in their tribe or in their clan. Then they would actually host feasts and parties, and they would celebrate them because this poet, he or she, they would now, they would be able to do madah, they would be able to do praise of their tribe and of their clan, and that would really, help their popularity skyrocket, right? Oh, now because of him, he will help our legacy, live on and prosper, and he will defend us from others by doing the dham of those people, by, cursing them or mocking them or ridiculing them by way of his poetry. So they used to actually be really proud of poets in their communities and societies, and that was something that you learned at a fairly young age, right? Within the teenage years or within the early 20s, you would know that person was a poet. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he brought this message when he was 40 years old. There's absolutely no past history of anything related to literature or poetry whatsoever. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was not a literary mastermind of any sort. So to make such a claim is absurd. So that's why they made so many different claims. Some of them said that actually, he's lying. He made it up. So, well, the guy doesn't have a history of lying. And also, if he's going to lie, then shouldn't he lie about something that's going to benefit him? I mean, what he's lying about right now is just getting him beat up, and it's getting him mocked and ridiculed, and all the people who were his allies and friends and even family are now turning against him. People like Abu Lahab, who were the family of the Prophet ﷺ, who was his uncle. Now look at what they're doing. They're literally, it's their life's mission is now to attack and kill him, literally to kill him, assassination attempts on him. So that's a pretty silly lie for him to make up. Why would he make up a lie like this? That's just risking his life. So it doesn't really make sense for him to lie. He doesn't have a history of lying either. If he was lying, he should lie for some benefit. And you and I, we know Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when he passed away in poverty. He passed away without any physical possessions. Right? He had like a couple of things. One of them, it was marhun. It was given as collateral to a Jewish man. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had no wealth or anything when he passed away. So he spent months and months where he was just completely hungry. They had no food in their homes. So it's not definitely not lying. He's definitely not lying. And to make the statement that it's just muddled, befuddled dreams and things like that is also silly, because the statements that the Prophet ﷺ made, they have time and time again, even in his own time period, even in his own zamana, in his age, it was fact-checked and verified. It's fact-checked and verified because oftentimes the Jewish tribes of Medina who have experience with scripture and with religious texts, they would come or they would send messengers, or they would give some advice to the mushrikeen, and whereby the mushrikeen would test the Prophet ﷺ. And Nabi ﷺ was constantly passing their tests. I mean, he was telling them things from Jewish scripture, right? Things that how would he know about them? وَقَوْلِهِمْ عَلَى مَرْيَمَ بُهْتَانًا عَظِيمًا, I think, where they made like this severe claim against Maryam alayhi salam, and it's not, that claim itself is not recorded in the Torah. It's actually in their oral scripture. Okay, so it's oral scripture which eventually became written down, but it's their oral tradition. So it was something that was literally passed down through just speech, memorization, and hearing and conveying, not even written down. Eventually became written down. So they're thinking that how does he know this? And like where did he ever get access to this and then know and memorize it and then somehow be able to fit it concisely into the Quran the way that it so smoothly flows? Makes no sense. And the Prophet ﷺ is telling about a prophet who was in he's in Palestine, and one who's in in Misr, and one who was in this place and that place, and the history of Yusuf alayhi salam, his entire life story, the people of the cave, and Dhul Qarnayn, all of these people. And they're thinking, how does this guy know all of these things? Right? So a person who has very accurate dreams like this, which is one of their claims, was adghath wa ahlam, he's just having these crazy dreams. I mean, that's some pretty impressive dreams that the Prophet ﷺ is having, for them to be so spot on and to be so accurate. So that is itself just a very silly claim, and it didn't hold up even during their times. It didn't hold up because they quickly changed to another accusation. Some of them said that, he's crazy, he's gone insane. That was definitely not the case either. I mean, if you had gone insane, I think, if you see a person who is, clinically insane, I think pretty much everyone has an agreement, okay, the person's crazy, the person's insane. That person is not going to get married and have children, and have a life, and have, this and that, and have tens and tens of thousands of followers. Most likely the person is not, because everyone will think that, well, actually, I think the guy is, a little bit loose. But no. So what kind of claim was that? Some of them said he's, possessed by a jinn. Where is this jinn? Because apparently the jinn was telling him that, hey, you know what, you should pray and you should give charity and you should look after the orphan and look after the widow, look after the destitute and the poor and the this and this and this. That's what the jinn was telling him. The jinn wasn't telling him that go and attack, innocent people or go and say these terrible things. No, the jinn was encouraging good things, apparently. Completely illogical, right? These claims that they're making were very, very silly against these people. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he really, he scares these people, and he tells them, مَا أَمَتْ قَبْلَهُمْ مِنْ قَرْيَةٍ أَهْلَكْنَاهَا أَفَهُمْ يُؤْمِنُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warns them. And he says, that the other, villages and the towns and cities and the people that came before you, okay, when we sent prophets to them and they refused to believe in their prophets and they tortured them and harassed them, we destroyed them. And so this is a warning. So that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, أَفَهُمْ يُؤْمِنُونَ, said, are you going to believe? Because it's kind of saying that, are you going to behave now? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, what we did to all those previous people? And then it's like, well, maybe we don't know. So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, okay, let me tell you. So then that's why he brings the story of, almost like 20 prophets. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings name after name after name. He makes mention of their stories. And he says, look, this is a prophet, this is a prophet, this is a prophet. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala details, what happened with them and what happened with their people as well. And how, okay, they came and they gave a da'wah, they gave a da'wah, and they were rejected time and time and time again. As a result, we sent our punishment down upon them. So do you want to be next? Do you want to follow in the footsteps of those people as well? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is essentially, kind of scaring them, giving them like a wake-up call. He subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا قَبْلَكَ إِلَّا رِجَالًا نُوحِي إِلَيْهِمْ فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says that we have not sent before you except men who we gave wahi to, who we gave revelation to. So this is a small point of contention. There's like a small group of scholars who argue that they were women prophets as well. But the vast majority of scholars say that no prophethood was essentially reserved for men only, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only gave revelation to men. However, there is a small minority of scholars who say that no, it was actually given to women as well. So the majority that states that, well, no, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only gave revelation to men one of the strongest dalail, one of their strongest arguments is this ayah right here, the 7th verse of Surah Anbya, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا قَبْلَكَ إِلَّا رِجَالًا نُوحِي إِلَيْهِمْ. We have not sent before you except men who we gave revelation to. But then the small minority, they say that actually, wait, remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He uses the word nuhi or wahi, right? That, revelation that we gave, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses it in different contexts throughout the Quran, which is true. If you remember in Surah Nahl, we actually talked a little bit about this. I believe it was Surah Nahl or Surah Maryam, actually. Surah Maryam, we talked a little bit about this. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He uses the word wahi several times throughout the Quran. It doesn't always necessarily mean direct revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to a human being. Sometimes it has other meanings as well. So the second part of this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. So ask the people of knowledge if you don't know. Ask the people of knowledge if you don't know. Some scholars, they say that this part of the verse, it refers specifically to the rabbis who are living in that area, or who they had some type of communication with. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that, you know what, if you don't know, if you don't know of previous prophets, if this is something crazy to you, that there's a man that we have sent revelation to, and he walks in the marketplaces, he eats food, he has wives and children, he has a life, but we also give him revelation and he guides you as a prophet. If you find that to be too difficult to believe, go ask Ahl al-Dhikr. Ahl al-Dhikr are the people of remembrance, basically the people of knowledge, the people of scripture. So again, there's some leeway in how you translate the word dhikr, remembrance. So many scholars, they do say that this refers specifically to those the Jewish rabbis who were living at that time, during the time of Prophet ﷺ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, go ask them. They will tell you many stories of other prophets who we have sent revelation upon, and we have, who are just like Muhammad and who had the same message as Muhammad. So if you don't believe him, go ask these people, they'll vouch for him. So this is also a lesson for us as well, that because we can also take this part of the ayah at face value. فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. That ask the people of knowledge if you don't know. So as a means of targheeb for us, a means of encouragement for us, that if there's something in our religion that we find confusing, difficult to accept, whatever it might be, hard to swallow, or just we don't know, we don't understand, or someone asks a question, whatever it might be, something that we don't have an answer to, then we should ask the people of knowledge. That's it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us straight up that just go and ask. And just today, I had a class with a couple of students of mine, and one of the biggest things that I told them is, unfortunately, we live in a time period where it's if I don't understand something, well, then clearly nobody understands it. We give a lot of, and we make a lot of blanket statements, right? Where we just say that, oh, this is a horrible thing to happen. Well, yeah, the thing that might happen, or that might have happened, whatever it might be, for example, this lockdown, right? The coronavirus situation. A lot of people are saying this is the worst thing, it's a terrible thing. Yeah, from our perspective, it's terrible, absolutely. But I guarantee you, the animals that are outside living in God's kingdom, those animals, those little creatures are very, very happy. They're thrilled. They're loving it. And there's a lot of funny videos that I'm sure we've seen that, there's like hordes of sheep that are running through streets in Turkey and streets in Scotland and Wales and all over the place, right? These animals are going crazy. And they're enjoying themselves because you and I are stuck in our homes and we're not out there terrorizing them. So from their perspective, this is a wonderful thing because they're safe from the virus. They're not getting hurt. You and I are. Okay. So this is also, this can apply to also things that we don't understand or we don't know. Somebody asks us a question, they say that, oh, Islam says this. And just because you and I don't have the answer to it, doesn't mean that nobody has the answer to it. That's not what it means. It means that, right now we are very limited in our knowledge. So let's go ask somebody who knows. And one of the biggest signs that, that we have kibr or pride is that, when somebody asks us something, that we say that, oh, well, no, I refuse to accept it. Or no, I'm just not going to go and ask anyone else. There's two types of people who will never learn. Number one is the person who's mustahi, the person who's too shy, too ashamed, too bashful to actually go and ask someone. Because they might have a question about something and they won't answer they won't raise their hand to answer the question. They won't raise their hand to ask the question. The person won't say anything because they're too shy. Second person is one who's proud, the person who's boastful and arrogant. That person will also never learn because they'll think that, what am I going to learn from him, or what is she going to teach me, or I already know all this stuff, so they just zone out, and then that person won't listen either. So these are two types of qualities. Definitely, a good pride is necessary. A good pride is necessary in a person. You should have, be proud of yourself, proud of your children, be proud of, your family, these kinds of things in a good sense. But when you start looking down upon people, when you start thinking that, whatever, this is, beneath me, then this is bad. Obviously, it's very detrimental. In the same way, haya is good, right? Being bashful is good. But when it becomes detrimental, when I have, mashallah, I have some of my friends. They text me and they text me very openly, very frank questions. Like very sometimes and they're explicit, which is fine, right? Because I mean it's a private text and something. So, but they do so because they want to know the answer and they need to know right away. So I'll answer right away, which is a good thing. But imagine you're too nervous to ask a scholar about a question that really pertains to you, and then you end up doing something wrong just because. You know what, I didn't feel like asking him or her, so I just stayed away from it. So this is something that I really encourage a lot of people in any community that I try to visit, or that I visit. I try to encourage them that your local scholar, your local sheikh and imam, you should build a very strong relationship with that person, so that you are able to go to them whenever you need guidance in your religious affairs. Just like you and I we have our personal doctors and things like that. We go to them when we need our health looked after, our physical health. We need a scholar who can help us in our religious health as well, right? We need someone that we can turn to and who will be able to guide us as well, inshallah. And I wanted to finish this surah, or the commentary, at least this little overview, by just talking about one more little short concept. So in the 18th verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he talks about, he draws for us an analogy, kind of makes like a picture for us of truth and falsehood. Okay, truth and falsehood. So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, بَلْ نَقْذِفُ بِالْحَقِّ عَلَى الْبَاطِلِ فَيَدْمَغُهُ فَإِذَا هُوَ زَاهِقٌ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, but, as in like, no. It's kind of like making a statement that like, no, here's the truth. Like, here's what we do. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, نَقْذِفُ. نَقْذِفُ, qadhaf, it is literally, is to bombard something as if it's like a missile being shot at something. That's what this is, qadhaf. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, نَقْذِفُ بِالْحَقِّ. We throw with haqq. We basically, imagine like truth is like a giant boulder or giant rock that's in your hand, al-batil, that you throw it at falsehood, at a lie. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says the truth, we throw the truth at a lie, فَيَدْمَغُهُ, and it completely destroys it, it obliterates it. It's like, imagine it smashes it, and it's like the falsehood is running, and you take this truth and you throw it at it, and it smashes it in the back of the head. That's literally the picture that is being drawn. It's a very explicit picture for a reason. فَإِذَا هُوَ زَاهِقٌ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that it vanishes. Right, the falsehood, when it gets smashed, it completely disappears. Right, it's like a wisp of smoke that just completely vanishes. And the word zahiq is typically an animal that's either too skinny or too fat. Too skinny or too fat. This is the word that's usually used for zahiq, because both of these, when they see a prey, they are prey. When they see a predator, they try to run, but they're never successful. Right? They're never successful because, number one, if the animal is too fat, how is it going to get away? And if it's too skinny, then it doesn't have enough energy, doesn't have enough physical stamina or ability to even escape from the predator. So that is what the batil here. That is what falsehood here is. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that it's too weak. It's too weak. It's too incapable of escaping from truth. So we will use the truth to smash the falsehood. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. He said, وَلَكُمُ الْوَيْلُ مِمَّا تَصِفُونَ. And for you people, may you have ruin and destruction for what you are ascribing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How dare you speak about God in this manner that you do? So in this picture, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is essentially telling us, by way of this ayah, that truth always chases down falsehood. The truth is the one that attacks falsehood. When people bring lies and people bring accusations, the truth is the one that comes there to destroy it. So, Islam being the truth and everything else being batil, everything else is falsehood. So when Islam comes, right, our statements are haqq, our statements are truth. Our Quran is true, our Sunnah is true, our history is true, our teachings of our scholars, all of these things are true. All of these are fact. These are things that we don't turn away from, nor do we shy away from them whatsoever. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that this is the truth. And we use this to completely destroy all of these false accusations they make against God, against the truth. So that's how it should be. And that's how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says it is. But in today's day and age, how is that really the case? In today's day and age, Islam, which is al-haq, the truth, is no longer on the offensive. Now we're on the defensive. Constantly people are saying, oh, Muslims do this, you Muslims are like this, you Muslims are like this. And then we have to constantly appease people. Oh, well, no, actually Islam is not, well, no, actually, well, we're kind of like you, but no, actually, and we're constantly, backpedaling. And we have to defend Islam time and time again. Rather than being, and this is my approach, rather than being so defensive about our religion, just saying that, no, like calming people down. definitely, we should calm people down, but rather than trying to appease everyone, we should be kind of bold in our approach, right? We should be more proud of our faith, of our religion. We should have that confidence because, these people are just, most of them are just haters. To be perfectly honest, they're just haters, and they will sense your weakness and they'll just attack it. And so they'll attack these people, they'll attack your hesitance. They'll attack the fact that you're too kind sometimes. So you tell them, look, this is my belief, and this is a belief system that I hold. And as long as you respect my right to practice my religion, I will respect your right to have your own opinion. And we just leave it at that. But our religion, we should not be on the constant defensive where we have to hide away parts of our religion. Do away with a few years of the life of the Prophet, or a few facts about his life, or we have to do away with some verses of the Quran. It's never the case. Never the case. And if we find ourselves, and I often find myself in this situation where I don't know how to explain something, I don't know what to say about this or that. If that ever happens, I go to someone who knows. I go and frequently, almost on a daily basis, I ask my teachers, or I ask my classmates, or I ask people who I know are reliable and trustworthy for answers. And I tell them, look, I don't get this. It doesn't matter how many years I've studied, but I time and time again, I reach out and I try to understand. And that's exactly what we should do. Oftentimes I ask my students, and I said, did you guys have any questions? And none of them do. So I always make the same corny joke that, wow, so you guys know everything already, man. MashaAllah, I don't even know everything. So, obviously that's not the case. I'm just messing with them. But, we should always look for that which we don't know and try to fill those gaps in our knowledge, try to fill those gaps in understanding. Seeking knowledge is a lifelong journey. Especially in this month of Ramadan, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala multiplies good deeds by a number that we can't imagine. Then imagine what the reward would be if we just learned one word, or one half a page, or one page, or one chapter of a book, or something like that. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala He give us strength. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase us in our knowledge. And regarding this surah specifically, like I said, it's a fairly lengthy surah, and I just talked a little bit about it. Inshallah, I would highly recommend that you read the translation, read the explanation of this surah, and read specifically those books which talk about the lives of prophets who came prior. Obviously, there is the classic and arguably the best book on the lives of the prophets is Qasasul Anbya, or Qisasul Anbiya, written by Ibn Kathir rahimahullah. He's written this book, and then there's also another copy that I have personally. This is it's been translated through a couple of languages, from Arabic to Urdu to English, and it's a book that has pictures of some of those previous landscapes, those areas, landmarks and monuments to those same people, and where the prophets were sent, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent them to. So I feel like that for me is beneficial, because these are very, very old pictures as well. Some of these pictures are almost like 100 years old. So they show places that probably they don't even exist today. They've probably been demolished by now. So it helps me in learning, and I think that for most people we've kind of entered the age where we've become visual learners, right? We're no longer an oral tradition. Definitely, we're moving away from print as well. So now we're just a visual culture now. So anyways, I would definitely encourage, inshallah, that we spend our times learning about these noble people who came before us, and we try to emulate them to the best of our ability. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum.